What is up, CSGs? The Rockets just lost a close game versus the San Antonio Spurs. This one kind of hurt a little bit, I'm not going to lie, because the game was right there. We could have had it. It felt like it was right there for the grasping, but, you know, certain things happened that led us to lose the game. I'm going to give y'all my synopsis of the game, looking at it on a micro level, looking at each player of the key players' performances, and also what can we take away big picture from this game. Y'all tap in, enjoy.
Seems like this loss is kind of weighing on you heavily right now. What's just going through your mind right now?
I think everybody did their part. You know, I just feel like I didn't show up and do my part. You know what I mean? So just kind of how I am. So, you know, trying to move on.
For the game coming up on Sunday, would it be easy for you to just flush this one out of your system and start over on Sunday?
Yeah. You know, it's kind of fresh on me right now. I know I'm gonna get over it. You know, but you know, I don't like to lose. So it's kind of just right now.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Looking at the performances of the players, I'm going to just go down a list from NBA.com on the Rockets box score. Dillon Brooks, 39 minutes, 53% from the field, 50% from three, 17 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. Dillon was aggressive. He played great. Once again, putting together 2 good games back-to-back. Coming off of how he played defense against Orlando, you could tell that between him and Fred, they had more of an being more conscious about being more offensively involved in this game early on. And at least to some of the things that we're going to discuss about some of our younger core players later on. But Fred and Dillon really took, they came out aggressive, looking to get their shots off, and it helped keep the Rockets in the game early. And I think as of right now, until further notice, this is how they're going to have to play. Fred probably has to be the number one primary scorer in the moment. And then I think Alperen is probably going to be that secondary, and Dillon needs to just find his shot. Within that, Jalen needs to find a shot. Jabari needs to find a shot for sure. But I like the way Dillon played. I think that this is kind of what you want from him. He doesn't really force anything. He's the best defender on the team, arguably one of the best defenders in the NBA on the perimeter. He was guarding Wemby, he was guarding Vassell, he was guarding Keldon Johnson, and most of the time, if he's guarding somebody, they're going to be clamped. But I really liked how he played going throughout the game down the stretch. He's a smart basketball player. He's earning his money right now for sure. Next player we're going to look at is Fred VanVleet. And Fred had a really good game. Fred played 44 minutes, which is a team high. 10 of 20 from the field, 50%. Went 2 for 10 from three. Not great from the three-point line. Took a lot of kind of pull-up threes that I wish he would reduce, and that was one of the things he did last year that really hurts his three-point shooting percentages. But I mean, Fred, one thing I noticed, and this is a theme that I want you guys to be able to notice going forward with every game. We had an issue in the Orlando game where Coach Udoka pointed out that the screens weren't good, that guys were whiffing on screens. So a lot of times, whether it was Alperen, whether it was Londale, whether it was Jeff, they would come up, try to set the screen, but they wouldn't get contact with the defenders in order to give Fred or whoever the ball handlers were space. And you could see in this game, whatever happened between that game and now, Fred and Alperen Sengun got it together. They got it together on the screens. Alperen was screening with great angles. And you will also notice another thing I spoke about in my last video was how when Alperen and Fred were running their pick and rolls, it was off. Either Fred was late on the passes, Alperen wouldn't catch it in time. It was causing turnovers. Fred was going downhill too fast. Alperen was so. In just one day, they fixed it. That's a sign of a good system, a good coach. That's a sign of good vets on a team that you could actually see an issue in real time be addressed from game to game. These are the things that you want to build up on as Rockets, as a team, and as a fan base. These are the things you want to look at when you're looking at the slow progression as the team improves going forward. And I'm not saying that just to like sugarcoat that, the team looked bad in Orlando and there are parts of the game that look bad in this game, but you have to also look at the micro developments that are going on. So from game 1 to game 2, Alperen Sengun's and Fred VanVleet's pick and roll chemistry went from 0 to 100 night and day. It looked beautiful today. That 2-man game they were running in the first half into the third quarter was what was keeping our offense afloat. And then later on in the game, they switched over to Alp, posting up on the left elbow there and just running the offense out of that with the weak side, kind of overloaded. and him getting to work on Buddy from the Spurs over there. The only issue with that is we don't have any shooters for that, but that's a different story. But, Fred, you look at his other stats, 12 assists, 8 rebounds. That's a damn good game. He played a pretty good game, 24 points. Almost fouled out with 5 fouls. Fred gave you 8 rebounds. We're going to need it. Another thing that was talked about in the previous game was the rebounding battle. And you can see in this game that we actually evened out with the Spurs 43-43. We got 43 rebounds. They got 43 rebounds. They're a much taller team than us, a bigger team. So for us to get that, you need performances like that from your guards. And you can see guys that didn't rebound good in last game came out and played better. Jabari with 9 rebounds. Sengun with 14. Jalen Green had 5, which is much more acceptable. Fred VanVleet had 8 rebounds. So these are the collective way you could address some of the issues with the teams being short as we are right now on a smaller team. But Fred played good. Next player we're going to talk about, Jalen Green, 37 minutes, 10 of 20 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. A much better game than he played in Orlando. Jalen is still having issues on defense. He's still suffering keeping up on defense, especially off ball. And on ball. Like when he's guarding players, he tends to turn his hips and give a one-way go towards the basket and tries to retreat from there. He's late on his rotations at times, and there were parts of the game, especially late in the fourth quarter when it got crucial, that his mistakes on defense really cost the team, either put the Rockets in foul trouble or allow the Spurs to get layups or force the issue and get to the basket. So you want to see the slow progressions with these guys. You take it step by step, day by day. I think the defensive one is going to be a long-term thing. That's not something you fix just because you're having an off night. I think that's more of a long-term thing he's going to have to work on over his career. Right now for him, what you want to see is more aggressiveness. I don't like how he kind of faded out in the second half of the game, especially towards the overtime in the last quarters. He just needs to be more active, more engaged. He was a bit passive. I know he's trying to let everybody kind of find their own. And obviously Fred and LP were cooking, but I just feel like he has to grab the bull by the horns would be the term that I use. But once again, you want to see the micro development from Orlando to San Antonio. He played much better. I expect him to continue to be more aggressive. I did not like also the shot selection. He seems off balance again. I think he's reverting a lot to some of the things that you saw from him last year, especially early on when he was struggling, rushing his shots, coming off his screens, and not really planting his feet and getting a good base under him when he shoots. His mid-rangers are a little off balance. The form is kind of weird. The three-pointers seem rushed. So I'm wondering, all the stuff he said he learned in the summer, where is it? Like, bro, where is it? Like, where are those things that you learned from Kevin Durant? Where's that pace? Where's those different aspects of your game? Where's that post up? Where's that mid range? Where's that playing, within the flow of the game and just picking your spots? I still feel like he's rushing. And if you would show me clips of him scoring in this game from this game or a game last year, it looks exactly the same. So I need to see more out of him. I know it seems like I'm being hard on Jalen, but if you're going to say you're going to be the team's like the all-star and the guy that's going to be the team captain and be the man on the team, it comes, hey, heavy is the head, what do they say? Heavy is the head that wears a crown, whatever that saying is. It comes with a lot. So it's no longer where we're looking at these guys like, oh, he's a rookie, he's just getting better. Oh, he's a sophomore. Hey, bro, you playing for money right now, and every performance he puts on the court and on film is going to go towards the team's evaluation of whether they should pay him. And also his evaluation on the open market in the NBA. So these are things that I know are going through his mind, and the teams are looking at that. There was a poll that came out that I seen on Twitter. They said that they looked at they surveyed 20 GMs in the NBA about which prospects basically that they would rank the prospects and select which ones would have the better future in the NBA. And out of the Rockets team, Jalen Green came in last. The number one was Amen Thompson, then it was Jabari, then I think it was Alperen Sengun, and then Jalen, as far as what GMs in the NBA consider prospects that are going to be successful. I mean, that's because of the film that he's putting out. Like, I'm not excited about him hitting a bunch of buzzer beater threes because that's not going to win you like real games, right? I need things that I can bank on from a night-to-night basis. I think John Lucas said it best last year when they were asking him about Jalen. You know, players can get hot in the NBA. He can go through a 5-game streak where he's scoring a lot. But the guys that are really good, you can book it like the sun comes up. They're going to give you what they're going to give you on a night-to-night basis. When he gets to that level where he's consistent on a night-to-night basis, then we could have those conversations about him being a player that it could be considered for all-star level or other things like that. Until then, like, I just need more consistency. But in the moment, you like to see the game-to-game progressions as he gets more comfortable. Like I said, I'm going to keep saying this. Give them about 15 games. Give them 15 games to really get acclimated. But that defense definitely has to improve a lot. And his shot selection and where he wants to get the ball and his spots have to improve. But that's going to come with time. You hope that it does come with time, but Jalen just has to be more aggressive and have a more killer mentality about his approach to the game, because I feel like he gets a bit too passive sometimes. But, you know, decent game from him. Definitely expect more out of him late in the game, and definitely expect more out of him on defense. So Alperen Sengun, obviously, the best player in this game, in my opinion. 40 minutes, second highest minutes on the team. He was a -4 in this game. He had the second highest, or the third highest plus minus. Dylan was a +4. Jalen was a -3. He had the second highest plus minus, and then Alp at third with -4. 40 minutes, 11 of 18 from the field, 61% on that. 1 of 3 from 3. 2 for 6 from the free throw line. If there's a criticism there, he got to hit his free throws. Something he needs to keep working on. But 14 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. He had 6 turnovers. A couple of them came in late in the game in crucial times, and a lot of it was miscommunication between him and the guards, whether it was Jalen or mostly Jalen. I don't know if he had one trying to feed the ball to like Jabari or something like that, but him and Jalen kind of were doing a lot, and it was mostly because there was either him trying to like set a screen and he was saying Jalen moved too fast, or trying to get a handoff off that went out of bounds. Just stuff that they need to slow down and pace themselves on. But Alperen Sengun so far has been playing like the Rockets' best player, aside from Fred VanVleet. And if you look at the young core, he's been playing like the player that's the best out of the young core. And this is for this entire season. And, you know, he's shown flashes of that during last season. Now, a lot of people, they don't want to say that, right? Alperen Sengun is playing like the Rockets' best out of the young core. But that's the reality. And the difference between what you would say like last year and 2 years ago and this year is because the Rockets are playing for keeps. We're not playing. There's no magic rainbow Wembanyama at the end of the year that we're going to tank for. So we can pretend that, we're going to look at these guys and, these games don't matter. Let's just see what they got. All of that is out the window. And I'm going to try to help you guys get to the point where you realize that dispensation is over. We are in a new age of Rockets basketball where everything matters. All these games matter. Even though it's game 2, there are things that go behind game 2, because from a game-to-game basis, guys are going to be evaluated on their minutes, on their roles, on their playing time based on how they perform. Because when you're trying to win games in this league, all of that matters. When you were trying to lose games, then you could say that, well, okay, my guy had 30 points in this game, but he played terrible defense, and I don't care because I can see him playing good defense when the games matter. Well, guess what? The games matter. So if Alperen Sengun is going to put up 25 points, is going to put up 14 rebounds, is going to give you 7 assists, 2 steals, and a block, and is going to guard Victor Wembanyama, and he's going to guard Zach Collins, and he's going to be one of the best defenders out on the court for you on a night in, night out basis. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Y'all know what I'm going to say when I get to the Jabari part. Well, y'all might not know, but we see what Jabari's struggling. We see what Jalen's struggling with. I think the upside conversations are the upside conversations until upside is actually reached. The more time goes on, upside becomes more irrelevant. Now, Jalen and Jabari have probably higher upsides than Alperen Sengun. But when you're trying to win games, you typically roll with the guy that's helping you win. And this guy is really putting us in position to win. Throughout the fourth quarter and most of overtime, they went to him in that post up. And I said this, I disagree with Coach Udoka, and he proved me right by doing this, because I know he went back and saw the film after the game. He said the reason that we got close, almost came back and beat Orlando in the third quarter, was that the guys started playing with more pace. That was cap. They went to Alp in the post, generated double teams, forced kickouts that generated offense. Now, in this game, Alp was feasting on Zach Collins, and we were able to, when the Spurs try to double and triple him, we were able to kick out and generate shots and swing, attack and kick. That's Ime Udoka's offense in a big bow right there. Attack the paint, drive and kick. Right? Attacking the paint, driving and kicking. And what I mean by that is, if you watch the Celtics, they did it from the perimeter though. They would get, 2 feet in the paint, kick it out to a shooter, the other team rotates. Your guy that's about to shoot, pump fakes, gets into the lane again. The defense has a scramble, helper comes, keep passing. Good shot's a better shot, good till you get a great shot. And this is what Ime wants to do. I think at this point is just coming from a player in the post rather than one of his perimeter players, because as of now, the Rockets don't have a great rim pressure a player that you can consistently give the ball to and know that they can get downhill into the paint and make the right pass. Fred can do it, but he doesn't have that pressure to be able to do it and blow by guys without a screen. And once he gets in there, his height does kind of challenge him in getting the passes to where they need to go. You hope it's Amen Thompson, but his handles aren't there yet. You hope it's Jalen Green, but he's too passive and doesn't have the vision. So right now, the Rockets' best bet is Alperen Sengun post-ups and allowing him to work out of the post area, mid to high post, seeing the court from there, and then cutting and setting screens, off-ball screen, flare screens off of that and generating offense. That worked. I mean, it worked. If you look at, the Rockets, they scored 122 points running that style of offense. Even though it was in overtime, that still works. You're going to score points doing that. And one thing you got to give credit to Ime Udoka for, he wasn't shy about going to, you keep going to that well and drawing water from it. Last year they would have done, try to go back to the same old and lost the game doing something crazy or benched Alp or something like that. But right now, Alperen Sengun is balling. He's playing like the best player that is in this, all our young players right now. And I don't know what that means for Rafael Stone. I don't know what that means for, the Rockets. But if he keeps doing this going forward, we're going to have some real conversations, because the knock on Alperen Sengun was that he can't play defense. Well, guess what, guys? He's playing defense. Not that he's some super elite defender, but he's a good defender. As of the 2 games, he's been a good defender. But it is going to be tested versus Golden State. And I'll talk a little bit about them towards the end of the video. But just wanted to shout out to Alperen Sengun. The monster dunk that he had on Zach Collins, my God. Him guarding Wembanyama, stripping Wembanyama, taking his cookies, just playing all around ball, foot movement, foot speed, changing direction, using his hips. He had that, late where Zach Collins, after he dunked on him, Zach Collins came back and scored on him. That was not great, and obviously missed a free throw there late. And they had a couple blunders there in overtime, but those are things that you just take with your lumps and you just keep growing from there. But he's balling, man. And if he keeps going like this, then once again, we're going to have some real serious conversations about the Rockets outlook going forward. Because if some of these other guys are suffering and you have him playing well, then the conversation about who you're going to pay, who's not going to get paid gets real interesting. We're not there yet, way too early for that, but just keep an eye on that storyline, because at the end of the day, this stuff matters because money is on the line. A young guy isn't a young guy to me till you got to pay them. And that's why the NBA defines a veteran as a player that's played 3 years in the league. Literally, if you look at the CBA, NBA veteran is considered a player that's played 3 years. You know why? Because after 3 years, whether you're a rookie or undrafted, you're eligible to get a veteran contract. So this year, at the end of this year, Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun's class of players are considered veterans. They're not young anymore. And they're going to be judged by their merits and not by potential or anything else. So clock is ticking. Tick tock, tick tock. They on the clock. This is the reality of the NBA. We can't coddle these players anymore. Time to put up or shut up. We're gonna see once again, but you got to keep in mind, new system, new coach, new players. That's why I'm saying give them 15 to 20 games. And let's see whether they can figure it out. If they can't figure it out, then, hey, you adjust accordingly. Maybe you don't get as much money as you want. Jalen Green, maybe, your role on the team isn't what you thought. These are things that we're all going to have to talk about and adjust to in the future. What I'm hoping is that the Rockets have the good problem of having to pay a bunch of guys, where we have too many good players and we have to pay them, but we'll see. Lastly, Jabari Smith Jr. Jabari had a rough game. He started off pretty good. You know what I mean? At first, Jalen was tripping in the first half defensively, even though he was scoring. You already know my stance on scoring. Yes, great, you can score, but are you helping us win the game? And, Jabari was doing okay. He was getting, guys were hitting shots on him early, but it was contested shots. They were just hitting hard shots. But then Wemby came and really just, I think, punked him. It just seemed like it. Seemed like he got in his head and psyched him. Wemby was yelling and flexing on him. Y'all seen the reverse dunk. I mean, he couldn't guard him. He did his best he could, basically. But then, it started snowballing. You can tell he was getting in his head a lot during this game. And when the Spurs started attacking him towards the end of the game on defense with Keldon Johnson and some of their players, I was like, damn, this is the same movie that we saw in Orlando. Jabari's defense is not good right now. He is not good on defense. He's still overhelping like he was last year under Steven Silas, and that's given the Spurs a lot of threes that they use to kill us down late. Coach Udoka benched Alperen Sengun in the fourth quarter to when they do the offense defense thing. Personally, I think he should have benched Jabari on that one play where they brought in Jeff Green for Sengun. I don't care if you want to switch everything when Jabari's still out on the court, because at the end of the day, Alperen Sengun was not your weak link on defense. It was Jabari. So you took out the theoretical weak link, and guess what the Spurs did? They went right at Jabari. They didn't care about no damn Jeff Green. So all that, like, people were just playing the numbers instead of watching the game. You know what I mean? Take out Jabari. Like, we can't spare people's feelings anymore. They're trying to win games. Guys are working hard. A lot of guys put their work in the summer to get to this point, and for them to be losing because players aren't prepared to step on that stage, then it's unfair to them. Now, for Jabari Smith as a player, I think for him, he is still in the position where he isn't ready for the role that he's been asked to fulfill right now. I still think the potential is there. Defensively, I've lowered my tier of defense for him, but all the things he can do offensively, I think he can be a good defender. He has all the tools, but I want to see flashes and some more consistency out of him going forward. One thing I'm going to be looking out for: how does he respond to this against the Warriors? How is he going to respond against the Warriors? Is he going to fold? Is he going to be in his mind about it? Is he going to let the snowball? Or is he going to come out and say, you know what? Whatever happened in that game against the Spurs is done. I'm going to step in right now and play the best of my abilities and try to help my team win in whatever way I can. Then that'll tell me a lot about his mentality. I trust him that he is made of the right stuff. That's one thing you can never doubt about the kid, is that he doesn't care. And I know he does. So I'm not going to rag on him for missing the three or missing the free throws or any of that, because, that happens. Is what do you do with it now? What now? Like, what now? Is this going to be who you are? Are you going to be a player that people are going to dismiss, or are you going to step up and take this mantle and change the narrative about your play? To me, a lot of this stuff is mental. A lot of it is mental. We've seen what he can do. He just needs to do it. He seems like he's thinking about everything at the same time, and he shouldn't be doing that. The flip side of all this is that if he doesn't adjust fast enough, I definitely can see Coach Udoka either slowly reducing his minutes, or if Tari Eason comes back healthy and is balling, they just start Tari over him. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I called for Tari to start over him last year because I feel like some players need to develop in silence and in spots, rather than for the whole world to see all their blunders and everything, that all their weaknesses in their game while they're getting force-fed 38, 39 minutes a night. I never thought Jabari was ready to play that many minutes. I think he would benefit from playing in the 20s, where he can expend his energy and distribute out throughout the game and pick his spots when he wants to do stuff. I think when he plays a lot of minutes, he starts letting the game kind of confuse him and it gets to his head. He's just still young, and I don't think he's ready for those lights. And I think that's perfectly fine, because some people take years. It takes years. I want you guys, if you want to do a cool exercise, look up all your favorite players and see when they got on, when they started being good, how long they were on the bench, and things like that. Some guys don't need to be thrust into the starting five, and he just doesn't look ready. But he just got to be better. What are you going to do against Golden State Warriors? You look at his stats, 5 of 16, 31, that's 31% from the field, 25% from three, 25% from the free throw line. He had a good 9 rebounds, which is good, 1 steal, only 2 turnovers, a -6, 13 points. Not a terrible offensive game. He didn't hit his shots, but who cares about hitting? It's a make or miss league. I think it's all the other stuff that you want. One thing that I do like about Jabari is that he tries hard all the time. He's never like just lazy. Even if he gets beat, he's trying. And that's all you could ask for, because you can correct stances, you can correct positioning, you can correct, where you want their hands to be and all that stuff, and help players be better at what they're doing on defense and offense. One thing you can't teach is effort, and the dude goes 100% all the time. So at least for that. So I'm going to ask y'all to just give him a little grace, give him a little time. Let him learn from his mistakes, and let him bounce back. And if they need to reduce his minutes, let them do it. If they need to move him to the bench in the future, if he can't really hang with the starters, then maybe so. But just you got to let him grow a little bit. I think honestly he's just being thrust into too much right now, and they may need to reduce his minutes. But he definitely needs to play better. For the other guys, I love Tate's defense. Amen Thompson. He played good defense. Amen did. Still, his offense was pretty decent in this game as well. 50% from the field, only took 1 3 instead of a million. 4 points. Handles, he could be better at, but no crazy turnovers this game, just 1. Once again, Jason Tate played great defense. Jeff Green gave us great minutes, 10 points off the bench. Boban even came in and gave us great minutes. So I think the team overall, they played much better, and they're still, hey guys, I'm going to keep saying this after every video. This is the worst that they're going to be. This is the worst they're going to be. They're going to keep getting better from here. But that's my takeaways from a micro level. Let me get to the macro stuff. So from a big picture perspective from the Rockets, I think, it's going to be a long ride, guys. I want you guys to really just strap in for this, because you look at our schedule. We got Golden State coming up. We got the Kings coming up. We got the Hornets. I think we play the Kings twice, then the Hornets. Then it's like, it's a gauntlet. I mean, Clippers, Lakers. It's just playoff team, Denver, Memphis. The schedule gets real brutal, and it will get hard to see. I think we will be able to steal a couple of games from some of these contending teams, but it's going to be a long ride, and I just want you guys to be prepared for that. That's why I said you got to give them 15 to 20 games. I really don't see the team meshing well till about January, but within these games, what you want to look at is, are they getting better from a game-to-game basis? And if they're in games and in position to win like we were in tonight, are they executing down the stretch in order to win those games? Because the execution late in games is really the sign that a team is ready to make that leap to be in the playoffs. If we keep goofing away late game situations, it's a close game, we lose all the close games, and we're not ready. That means the guys aren't able to execute, because you're not going to do anything if you're gonna piss down your legs in those moments. So it's going to get bumpy, but just trust the process. I love what I'm seeing from our coaching staff. Once again, the game-to-game adjustments, the pick and roll and the screening and the angling with Alp and his screens and Fred and that 2-man game, they adjusted that quick, fast, in a hurry. The defense, they adjusted that quick, fast, in a hurry. Going to Alp in the post as your bread and butter, adjusted that quick, fast, in a hurry. That tells you that they're open to change, and they let the data and what they see on film dictate how they play rather than ideology, and which a lot of coaches use ideology and abuse ideology, and it gets them fired. So, it was a good game. I think if this was last year's regime, we would have got blown out by the Spurs, because obviously they have a good team, a well-coached team, and we were right there with them, despite all the challenges that we deal with, whether it was shooting or our roster depth. We don't have a deep roster, and I think you look at them, they outscored us on the bench by a lot. I think it was by like 20-something points. That's not going to cut it, and that's going to be an issue that we're going to need to address going forward. But it is what it is. The Warriors are coming up. It's going to be an interesting game. They just beat the Kings. They have a good team. They have a solid team. They have a good bench. I may do a separate video just for them. I don't know yet. But I think the Rockets are progressing. That's the term I'm going to use. I know you guys are bummed out about the game. It was a hard game. I wish we'd have won it. I think it would have been great, because Alperen had a great career. Well, not even a career. And I think the Lakers game last year was his best. But I think the guys deserve to get this win, just didn't get it done. But you look at the game 1 to game 2 development, definitely positive. You can take a lot of positives out of it. And that's what you got to look at and just build upon from there till you get to the point where you're playing more cohesively. Every time they touch the court, they're going to learn something new about each other. They're going to find out whether as an individual or as a team collectively, as units, whether it's the starters, the bench, the guys that play on the 2s or 3s, etc. The coaches, they're going to know, okay, he likes to get the ball here. This guy likes his shots here. He likes to play here. That's what these games are going to be good for. And by the time you get to that 15th, 20th mark, then you can see. You got to remember, this is not an easy task that they're trying to accomplish. To switch and pivot over from being where we were before to where we're trying to be now is really the hardest thing in the NBA to do, is to turn on the switch of culture and winning. And it takes time to do that. You can't just do it in a couple of training camp scrimmages and 2 games. It's going to take time for that culture to get enculturated into the team. We just have to be there collectively patient. That doesn't mean that you can't critique this team, critique the players for playing bad. And I think you don't have to critique them. I think Coach Udoka is going to hold them accountable for doing that by benching them or just reducing their minutes. So, you can critique in the micro, that means in the games, about, hey, you're not playing defense, without actually critiquing the entire process, because the process is still pending. But y'all let me know, man. I know this was a tough one. Let me know, what are your thoughts about the San Antonio Spurs game? And do you think we can beat the Warriors? Is there a chance that we somehow can sneak a win against Golden State? Let me know. If you're listening to this podcast at this point, make sure you hit the like button. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop. We're going to keep dropping that fire.